My name is Charles Theodore Monk. If you guys can hear me, go ahead and let me know that in the chat. Say hello, say yes I can, and we can continue from there. Because let's be honest, if you guys can't hear me, it will be a little difficult to understand this presentation. All right, so if you guys can hear me, go ahead and say something in the chat, whether that's hello or anything, and we can get started on this presentation. If not, I will go ahead and continue from there. So I don't see anyone in the chat doing anything. So can you guys hear me or can you not hear me? Please let me know and we will be able to continue from there on. Okay, I see someone said hello already. Awesome. Awesome. Nice to meet you. Hello. Hello. All right. Awesome. So let me just do a little recap of what we will be doing today in this presentation. So we will be obviously talking about traveling for business. We will learn some of the reasons someone might travel for business, and we will also talk about common problems that you might encounter and how to deal with those problems that you encounter. And it will kind of just give you some more information on some traveling tips, and then we will actually go into some traveling idioms and some traveling phrases near the end of the presentation. And you may be asking, why is this important? It's a good question. This stuff is important, well, to just prepare someone for traveling. We'll talk about obviously some rules about how to act when you travel for business, and we will also talk about how to deal with issues you may have or problems you may encounter when you are traveling. All right, so let's get started with this presentation. So we are simply going to be talking about business travels. And there are three very good topics when we talk about business traveling. The first one is opportunities. There are so many opportunities that happen when we talk about traveling for business. There are so many opportunities one could have. That could be to grow their business. That could be to get experience, right? If you travel for business, you probably are traveling either for a meeting or for a company problem or something like that. So there are going to be so many opportunities a person can have when they are traveling for business. And the second is there are so many reasons that someone may travel for business. You may be a boss, you may be in charge of your company, so you might go visit a branch or something like that, or you are told to go on this traveling journey by your boss. And sadly, that is kind of out of our control sometimes. And the third reason that a business traveling is kind of very big is for growth. The growth for the company and growth for personal experiences. When you travel, you get to see new people, you get to see new cultures, you get to experience so many different things where you get to grow as a person. When you travel for business, you can come into it with two different mind states. You can come with complaining that you have to travel for business and you have to leave your home, you have to leave your friends, your family, what you're comfortable with, or you can look at it as an opportunity to grow as a person because you get to encounter so many different things when you travel. It becomes such a good thing just to experience, right? You can try new foods, you can meet new people, you can learn how different people live their lives, right? It gives you a bigger opportunity or a bigger expansion of your mind than just living a normal everyday life doing the same routine every day. So it's all based on your mindset, right? You take that mindset that you want to grow as a person and look at it positive instead of looking at it negative. So now that we've kind of discussed three big areas about business traveling, we're going to talk about our next topic, which are some problems a person may encounter when they are traveling for business. And we're going to talk about a few problems. The first problem we're going to discuss is it's business, not pleasure. Right? You are traveling there for work. So sadly, you cannot do everything you want on your own timetable. You may have times for meetings. You may have times to do certain things and certain activities, and you cannot always do what you want. But you can always enjoy your travels, right? It's not always a negative thing. It's not always a bad time. You can actually go there. You can learn new things, experience new things, right? So like I said, it's all in a person's mindset. But we have to remember that when we travel for business, We travel there for a purpose, not for pleasure. So we have to make sure we are getting our work done. Not saying that you can't enjoy your trip. Obviously, enjoy your trip. Do what you can when you are free. But remember your priorities. Remember that you have to do your work while you are there, right? Be at your meetings on time. Get your projects done on time. And then once you get those done, enjoy the rest of your stay. And the second problem someone may encounter is a language barrier, also known as a cultural difference. So when you travel to a different country, odds are they do not speak the same language as you. Maybe if you travel from a country right next to you, if you travel, for example, from Canada to the United States, they both speak English. Or if you travel from certain areas in Asia or in Europe or South America, they could speak the same language as you. But if you travel to a different continent or a country that is far from you, you may encounter a language barrier. And you also have to deal with that cultural difference. You will have to deal with the way they act, the way that they say things, and you're going to have to adjust yourself based on the place where you are going. So that's why this could be a very big problem for a lot of people. They do not know the language and they do not know the culture. So a very big way to kind of help everyone when it comes to this problem is be prepared. Know where you're going. No, is there a language population there that I speak? Do I have to bring a notebook that talks about popular phrases? It's called a phrase book, right? Do I have to do certain things at certain hours that the culture does there? So be prepared because you do not want to be taken off guard by something there. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry for that. But yes, like we were talking about our language barriers, right? Our cultural differences. And the third problem we may encounter is an unfamiliar place. We are going somewhere that we maybe not are familiar with, right? And that could be very scary for a lot of people. We are going to a place we are not comfortable. We are going to a place that could be a little different. So it could be very difficult to adjust to that unfamiliar place. And the best way to deal with this problem is simply to have a preparation before you go. Understand where you are going. Am I going to a country that is, let's say, similar to mine? Am I going to a country that is different to mine? Where am I going? Be prepared, right? Understand what we're doing. And that's actually the best way to deal with all your problems is deal with preparation. Prepare for any problem so that if a problem does happen, you will be prepared and you will not be taken off guard by a lot of people, right? A lot of things could happen, right? You could get lost. You could get deal with something else. Be prepared. That is the best way to solve a problem. And now we're going to talk about some tips for business traveling. So there was actually a research done that was talking to the about 100 very popular businessmen and women from all over the world, and they asked them the question, what are some tips for business traveling or when you're traveling for business? And these are some of the most popular answers that came up within these roughly 100 people. So the first tip that was probably one of the most popular was plan a budget. And a budget is a limit or a maximum money that you will spend when you are going somewhere. So plan ahead of time of how much money you want to spend and where you want to spend it on before you go, right? You do not want to get there and end up spending too much money and then you go back and you are kind of like, oh, I should not have spent that much money. A lot of the times when you travel for a company that you work for, they will provide a certain amount of money for you to spend and budget out that money. It's always such a good idea to budget out the amount of money you are willing to spend so that you do not get caught with having no money that you have left in your bank account, because that would lead to a lot of different issues. And the second most popular answer that came up was check in on time. So they're talking about checking into your hotels, your plane tickets, right? Checking into the airports. Make sure you are on time to everything. And that is a very difficult thing for a lot of people because checking in on time is hard work. Sometimes you have to be there super early. Sometimes you have to be there super late, and it could be a lot of work and it could be very tiring for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't want to do that. right? It's not enjoyable to get up super early or super late at night because, well, we like our rest. But that was actually the second most popular answer that came up, was checking in on time. Because when you check in on time, you have lots of spare time to do certain things. A lot of people show up to the airport an hour before they're supposed to go, and that leads to a lot of rush. Some people show up 6 hours ahead, 3 hours ahead, 4 hours ahead. Give yourself plenty of time to check in so that you do not get stuck in a rush. Because when you are in a rush, it could lead to a lot of mistakes and it could lead to a lot of difficult things that you'll have to deal with when you are traveling. And then third most popular answer was backup information. So that's talking about important documents, important information that you are going to need. Have an extra copy of it so that if you get lost or if you lose something, you will have an extra pair, right? So let's think about some stuff like your birth certificates, your passports, your maybe some documents from your work. Get a copy of it. That way, you will always be secure when it comes to traveling. You will never get lost in your information. Because sadly, if you lose your information, that could lead to a lot of issues, right? If you lose your passports, your birth certificates, some work information, that could lead to a lot of stress. So always have some backup information. And now the fourth area that they like to talk about was actually something that I did not think about. And that's about adding an hour to wherever you're going. So add an hour to wherever you are going. So for example, if you check in to a place at 12 o'clock and it takes 1 hour to get there. So if you leave at 11, you're supposed to get there at 12. They're saying leave at 10 o'clock so that when you leave, you have an extra hour. And I know that's kind of an interesting take on a tip for traveling, but that is what they are saying, because you will never be able to perfectly predict any situation you might get into. You might get into a traffic jam. Your car might break down. You might get lost, right? So adding an hour gives you that extra area of comfort that you should get there on time, right? For example, you might have a presentation to do while you are traveling for your work, right? You have to do a presentation maybe to a big client. You add an extra hour there so your stress levels are lower, so you are more prepared. You have a whole extra hour to get the amount of stuff you need to get done, right? That gives you so much more time and so much more freedom when it comes to having to work. And the fifth tip that was the most popular with these businessmen and businesswomen was actually our connections. So have some connections to where you are going. So typically when you are traveling for a business, you will have some connections there. But build those connections before you leave so that you will know where they are, what they like to do, how they are doing it there, and have your connections so that you can have a better relationship or a better understanding of the people you are going to visit and where you are going, right? Build up those connections so you will have a lot easier of a time when you are traveling for your business, right? So that wraps up the 5 big areas of, let's say, traveling for business, right? Planning your budget, understand the amount of money you want to spend, check in on time, don't be late, back up your information, keep a second copy of as much things as you can, add an hour to wherever you are going. Be prepared for problems. Give yourself that extra cushion of time that will be able to help you when you are traveling from unforeseen circumstances like traffic jams or getting lost and all those things. And the fifth one was your connections. Know your connections before you go so that you will be able to be prepared for any situation that you might get into. So that wraps up the 5 big areas where these 100 prominent businessmen and businesswomen gave us some tips. And now we're going to talk about the big area that talks about cultural differences. And this is probably the most difficult thing that a lot of people are not prepared for, is having to deal with a different culture and a different people compared to what you are used to. So there are some points we're going to go through, and I'll read them out and explain the purpose of each point. All right. So point number 1, there is a difference from where you are familiar with to where you are going, right? For example, everybody is familiar with their house, with their city, with the area that they live in. But understand that where you are going is going to be different from where you are. So there may be more people who live there, so that will lead to some more traffic jams or certain things like that. So understand the differences of where you are to where you are going, all right? And the second one is greetings, sayings, and behaviors are different, right? In certain countries, a proper greeting would be considered a rude greeting or something disrespectful. The same thing with sayings and behaviors. What may be acceptable in your city, in your country, could not be acceptable where you are going. And that could lead to a lot of bad things that could happen for your business trip, right? If you were having to do a business trip and meet with someone from a different culture in a different country, and you say something that is not a big deal in your country, but is offensive to them, that could lead to a lot of issues, right? And the third one is what's acceptable with where you are can be different. That kind of summarizes the big thing with cultural differences, right? What we consider normal, what we consider acceptable, could be highly inappropriate or highly rude where you are going. So that's a big thing to take in and a big thing to understand. So if you are to summarize everything we are learning about cultural differences, you can sum it up into this one thing: what is acceptable with where you are can be different to where you are going. So that's such a big thing to deal with that. And now we're going to talk about some tips for cultural differences. So this is kind of a study that was done that showed the big area of cultural differences. They asked a bunch of people what they thought are the important things about understanding cultural differences in a business context, right? And these are the 5 big areas that they like to talk about. And the first big area they like to talk about was be informed. So know where you are going, know who you are talking to, and know who are you going to have to deal with. Be informed, because if you are not prepared, that could lead to a bad reputation or an unsuccessful business trip, just because you are not informed of the people you are meeting with, the culture you are going to, and the things that you are going to have to change to be respectful to them. And that brings us to our second point. So number 2 is be respectful. Be respectful. That is a big deal when it comes to business, right? We want to be respectful to anyone, our bosses, our coworkers, our clients. We want to be respectful, right? Being respectful can give you that edge when it comes to business traveling. If you are respectful, no matter where you are going, no matter who you are going to visit, no matter what situation you are in, you are going to find a lot more success in that area if you are a respectful person, okay? And now, in number 3, speak clearly. If you are speaking, maybe you are doing a presentation, maybe you're doing a sales pitch, maybe you're just in general speaking to someone, speak as clearly as you can, right? A big thing a lot of people get mistaken with is that just because I speak fast doesn't mean I am fluent. That's something to remember. When you speak too fast, you could put too much information out there and they will not be able to understand everything you are trying to say. So speak as clearly as possible. And now, letter D, or number 4, no slang. Do not, so slang is like wording and popular phrases that are used where you are from. So I am in Canada. We have Canadian slang. But when it comes to business context or work context, do not use slang. I do not use slang because that could lead to a lot of misunderstandings, right? Something that is maybe a popular saying in your city or with your friends. If you say that in a work context, you could confuse someone who does not understand what you are saying, okay? And the last one, number 5, which a lot of people do not get. You have to leave a personal bubble for the people who you are interacting with. Do not be overly friendly because that could rub them off as annoying, right? You do not want to be referred to as that one annoying person when you are traveling and working, right? So these are some of the tips of dealing with a cultural difference, right? You have to know where you are going, you have to be respectful, speak as clearly as possible. Remember, maybe you are giving a speech in English or maybe your native language, and they are not as fluent as you are in that language. Speak as clearly as possible. Even if they speak the same language as you, speak as clearly as possible. And remember, do not speak using slang. If these people do not understand the slang that you are going to use, do not use it. And remember, leave a personal bubble. Some countries, they are super friendly, while some countries just aren't as friendly as others. So you have to leave that personal bubble. And now we're going to hop to some traveling idioms, okay? So we will read about 10 of the most popular traveling idioms, and I will break down what these mean. So let's start at the first one, where it says at a crossroads. What does at a crossroads means? So it simply means you are at a big point where you have to make a decision, right? Maybe you have a offer from one company to buy out your business. You are at a crossroads. Do I accept this? Do I decline this? Or do I do this? Or do I not do this? That is what a crossroads is. It's when you have to make a big decision when you have a decision to make, right? You have to choose. Which one am I going to choose? So that's what at a crossroads means. And the next one, cool your jets. So cool your jets means to relax, right? Maybe you are angry. Maybe you are annoyed. Maybe you are being a little frustrated at someone, right? You have to cool your jets. You have to relax, right? Maybe somebody said something disrespectful to you. You get very angry, but do your best to cool your jets. Do not let your emotions run wild, okay? Now, idiom number 3, a country mile. A country mile means a very, very long distance, right? It means more than, it seems more like a mile because more than a mile, like I should say that. A country mile seems more than a mile because it's so far away, it is so long away, right? The next one, number 4, in the driver's seat. So in the driver's seat means you are the boss. If I say I am in the driver's seat, it means I am in charge, right? I am in charge. I am the boss. I am in the driver's seat, okay? Now, number 5, my way or the highway. What does that mean? That was a little confusing. So if I say my way or the highway, it means the way that I do things compared to the way other people do things, right? It's my way, while the highway is the way other people do things. So if I say my way or the highway, it's the way I do things or the way that everyone else does things, right? So those are the first 5 idioms that we talked about. Now we'll talk about idioms part 2, okay? Now, the first one, fell off the wagon. What does that mean? Well, if I say fell off the wagon, it means that I failed in my business. For example, I started a business and it was doing well, but then I fell off the wagon. It means all of a sudden my business failed. Or I fell off the wagon trying to start my business. I failed trying to even start my business. Right? So these are all such useful idioms because you might hear somebody talking about these idioms when you are not prepared. All right, the next one, red eye. What does red eye mean? Well, red eye is either a very late night flight or a very early morning flight. So it's kind of the hours where you do not want to be awake is considered a red eye flight. All right, next one, on track. So on track, it could be a synonym to on pace. I am on track to complete something, right? If you have 6 months to complete a project and I am on track to complete that project, it means I will finish that project in 6 months. I'm going to finish this on time. All right. Next one. Number 4 on this page. Running on fumes. Running on fumes means someone who is super, super tired, super exhausted, and they are running on fumes, right? Maybe you did not sleep much last night, so you are running on fumes. You do not have much energy, and you are very, very tired, all right? And the last idiom you will hear a lot in places like North America is an idiom called neck of the woods. And neck of the woods means my area. So Canada is my neck of the woods because this is where I am from. But for a lot of you guys, your neck of the woods is somewhere else and somewhere different, right? So that's what neck of the woods means. It means an area that a person lives and an area that a person is familiar with, right? Your neck of the woods is not my neck of the woods because I'm not familiar with your place. I am familiar with my place. And now we're going to quickly go over some travel phrases. We only have 5 minutes left, guys. So we're going to go through this as fast but as efficient as possible. So the first one is to drop off. So to drop off is to bring my apologies, is to bring one thing from one place to another and leave it there, right? So for example, I have to drop off Sarah at the airport. I have to bring her from our location and leave her at the airport, right? These are all very popular phrases, and these are very useful phrases, all right? Phrase number 2, check in. We've discussed this. Checking in is when you have, let's say, a reservation somewhere, and you have to go and kind of announce that you are there, right? Checking into your flight, checking into your hotel, right? All right, number 3, look forward. So look forward is typically you would say, I am looking forward to doing this. I would like to do it again. I would prefer to do it again. Okay, next one, pick up. So pick up is getting something from one place and bringing it to your place. So it's the opposite of drop off, right? Drop off, you bring something somewhere and leave it there. Picking up is you go somewhere and get something and bring it to wherever you are going, right? I have to go pick up John from the hotel. I have to go get him and bring him somewhere else, right? And the last one, hurry up. It means speed up, go faster, right? Like we said, a lot of people are lazy when it comes to travel. So hurry up, please, because we have a lot to get done. Now, we are going to do a little exercise, 3 numbers, where we're going to fill in the blank with the correct answer, all right? These are all going to be the phrases and the idioms that we learned about. So let's do this. Number 1, I have to blank my luggage. A, drop off. B, look forward. C, hurry up. So is it A, B, or C? Exactly. It is A. I have to drop off my luggage. I have to bring my luggage from one place to another. Good job, right, guys? It is A, right? Because we are bringing our luggage from one place and putting it there. We cannot look forward our luggage, and we cannot hurry up our luggage. We have to drop off our luggage. Very good. All right. Number 2, we blanked and our company failed. All right. So these are idioms. All right. We on track? No, that doesn't seem correct. We red eye. Red eye is a flight. We cannot red eye our company. It is letter C. We fell off the wagon. We failed, right? We did not succeed in what we wanted to do, right? We fell off the wagon, all right? So now last one. Number 3, I am blank. I do not know what to do. All right. So letter A, in the driver's seat. I am in the driver's seat. I do not know what to do. That could be. I am B, at a crossroads. I do not know what to do. Or letter C, I am running on fumes and I do not know what to do. All right. So these are all idioms that could possibly work in this sentence, but we have to understand the context of which we are using and the context of what our sentence is trying to say. So the best answer for number 3 would be A. It's not very good. It would be B. I am at a crossroads because I do not know what to do. I have to make a decision and I do not know what decision to make, right? Very good. Awesome. Thank you for getting involved. I appreciate that a lot. So that actually brings us to a little Q&A section. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask them and I will do my best to answer them. If there are no questions and have nothing else for you, questions from you guys, go ahead and fill out these polls for me. I will throw them up and it kind of helps me understand what you guys thought about this presentation. All right, so it should be up on your screen. And let me know if this was a very useful presentation for you, quite useful, not very useful, or not useful at all. All right, kind of helps me understand what you guys thought about the information that I put into this presentation, the criticism and all that. Go ahead and let me know, and I will do my best to improve, right? Constructive criticism is never a bad thing, all right? I will leave this up for about 5 more seconds for anyone who has not filled it out yet, but I want to say thank you guys for getting involved with this presentation and helping me present my presentation. All right, thank you so much for filling that out. And there's just one more poll that I will throw up. It should be up on your screen in a couple seconds. And this one simply is a question of, are you enjoying these presentations? Would you like to do these again? Would you like to learn a little something more than you are normally able to learn? And kind of get that whole group class aspect of it. Let me know if you guys would like to do it again. So simply it's a yes or no question. And I want to say thank you for filling out these polls for me, guys. It helps me understand what you guys thought about it, right? Did you learn something new? Did you enjoy it, right? So thank you guys so much for filling out those polls. I appreciate that a lot. So we are about done. But remember, follow Tutlo on Facebook, LinkedIn, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep in touch with the English community and get that extra learning motivation from people who are on this English journey with you. And like I said, my name is Charles Theodore Monk. Thank you so much for coming into this presentation with me. I hope you guys learned something. Remember, this is actually a lesson that is available on the Tutlo platform. So if you want to get your own understanding on business English, there are several courses which you could take based on your English level and just learn more about business English, right? So, like I said, my name is Charles Theodore Monk. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you learned something. And I hope to see you guys again, whether that's on a private lesson, through Tutlo, or in another presentation. So everyone, thank you so much for coming. Take care, and I hope to see you guys again. Goodbye.